Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another HEX update Saturday for December 14th, 2013. I'm Jake Freedom, and here's what's happened this week. We had a major patch rollout yesterday. It was postponed from Wednesday to the 12th there. CZE said they wanted to add a little more content into it before holidays and whatnot, but the main portions of what this patch consisted of was tournament play. Now, what do I mean by tournament play? Well, players can now enter in 8-person single elimination tournaments via the tournament lobby in the actual game itself. And it's pretty cool. It works okay for being first round implementation. I entered in 2 or 3 tournaments yesterday, and the first I think maybe it was 3 because the first 2 bugged out, and then the third one I got in, I went 0-2, and then after my game was done, you kind of get put back into the tournament lobby, and you just kind of wait there and wait for everybody else to finish up their games. Well, I was sitting there, and it was 20, 30 minutes went by, and I'm not able to do anything other than stare at the clock that's in the lobby there, waiting for these other people to finish their games, and they say they're 0-1 in progress, this, that, and the other thing. So I was like, okay, 30 minutes go by. I'm like, I got to bug out of here. I'm not going to sit here and stare at the clock. So what I think CZE needs to do, and I'm pretty sure they probably have an idea in mind, is give us something to do while we're waiting in between rounds. Because one thing I can see big drawback on is like streamers who are streaming their tournaments and have to wait 20, 30, 40 minutes in between their rounds. That's not going to work. Nobody wants to sit there and watch somebody do nothing. Nobody wants to sit there and stare at somebody's face and just hear them talk. I mean, they want to see the gameplay, and granted, some people do go watch other people play games and whatnot for the actual personality and whatnot. So I mean, don't get me wrong that they're just there watching the gameplay, but still 20 or 30, 40 minutes to fill time, that's going to be kind of tough to do. So CZE is definitely going to need to do something for the in-between rounds there. I'm sure they got some great ideas already in mind. So another thing that they rolled out was 15-card sideboards that can also be used in the tournaments as well. So that's really cool. Now the game is getting more and more like an actual TCG you'd play in real life at a game store or with your friends or whatever. So that's really cool if they've got that there. I have yet to use it. Because like I said, only did 3 tournaments yesterday anyway. Let's see what else we got here. Some general things that they fixed. The card manager now has a buffer wheel, so when you save your decks, a little buffer wheel happens. It's just kind of an animation. I'll take a look at it here. We'll show you. So when you go and save your deck, you get this little buffer wheel here, saying, "Hey, I'm saving. I'm saving." Okay, cool. Thanks for letting us know that you're actually saving. I mean, it's all right. It seems like it takes a little longer to save the decks now, but it doesn't matter. Here's the reserves for the actual decks. When you create your deck there for the actual sideboard. Let's see here. The chain tray now disappears from the screen when it's not in use. Some other things they did. Buttons throughout the UI have a new look, and these are still a work in progress. What they're talking about, let's see here. Oh, like they kind of have this bluish tint to them now. Let's pull this back up here. How they have this bluish tint kind of look thing. They're kind of talking about that. Let's see here. The landing page has been given a whole new look, and what they're talking about is this whole main screen right here. You kind of can't see the knight there since my card there is covering up, but that was kind of given an overhaul. It's kind of cool there. Let's see. Games in progress now shown in the proving grounds. What they're talking about there. Before, when you'd go to play, you'd jump into a screen and it would have play AI or how did that? I don't even remember how it worked anymore. And it was just yesterday or the day before. You could play the AI, or you could go and you could play other people. So right now, what they got though is if you go into the proving grounds, you go right in here, and somebody could pick you, or you could pick other people. And then here they have the play AI button, play button, and over here they show you what games are in progress. So it's kind of cool. I like this layout a lot better than it was before for sure. And let's see, global navigation has been overhauled with a new look. Like we just said there, we had the drop down for the proving grounds. Here's the tournaments. The tournament queues kind of load up like this. There's a little buffer wheel again. I'm not sure these are working right now because I saw in the chat there that people were talking about that the tournaments might be getting some work done right now, which is okay. But basically, you have a list of all these tournaments here. You can't actually create one. What you do is you just join the queue, you select the deck you want, and then you sit there and you wait until that tournament fills up with 8 players. and then you guys begin your games there. So there's no creating tournaments right now. I'm sure that'll eventually be down the road that they'll come up with that, but that's how that actually works there. So let's see, the card manager button is now the treasure chest. It's right here. There used to be another button you could get to it from, I'm not sure where it was anymore, but this has always been the card manager, I believe. So I'm not sure if it's a major overhaul or not, but that's cool. Let's see, now when you're building your decks, two in your card manager, they have this little check mark right here, and it tells you if the deck is valid or not, which is really cool. Because here I'll pull up a deck that's not valid. This is just a test deck that's got like one card in it, and it says, oh, you know, this has a red X here. If you mouse over it, it tells you, hey, this is what's wrong with your deck. You don't have a champion selected, and there's less than 60 cards in your deck. That is very cool. I like that there. Another thing they're able to do here in the card manager now is you can save the deck as something else. So instead of, you know, having to create, you know, multiple copies of the same deck with just a few different cards from scratch every time, now you can go ahead and load a deck that you like, change a couple cards in it, and then do save as, and then, you know, so it saves a lot of time, save as, and you have two copies of it with just this minor changes here. As you can see here, I got, you know, just tested out, I got two decks called Ozawa the Great and Ozawa the Great 2. So that's really cool. It saves a lot of time when you're creating decks and want to just try different things. So I like that a lot there. Let's see, some new cards that they added. Yes, every time they do a patch, they add some new cards, and the first one here is Shadow Rend. And let's see where he's at. It's a blood card. It is basic action. This turn, when a troop you control deals damage to an opposing champion, that champion chooses and discards a card. 3 cost, 2 threshold. When a champion you control deals damage to an opposing champion, that champion chooses and discards a card. I don't know. That seems like it has a really high threshold. I mean, yeah, you've already had to have a troop out there to deal damage to the champion, and then you have to, during your attack phase, you have to cast this. I don't know about that card. I'm sure it'll come in handy, but it seems expensive to me for what it does. I mean, granted, the champion loses a card, but dang, I don't know. Maybe if it was like a 3 cost 1 threshold, I could see, but 3 cost 2 threshold, that's kind of expensive. Let's see, another one they brought out, Mortar Strike. Let's see here, Mortar Strike. Mortar Strike is a ruby. It's a basic action. 5 cost 1 threshold. Deal 3 damage to a target opposing troop. Bury all troops from the top 3 cards of the champion's deck. That's worded kind of funny. Deal 3 damage to a target opposing troop, and then bury all troops from the top 3 cards of the champion's deck. What it means is you're going to deal 3 damage. The opposing champion's going to look at the top 3 cards. Whatever those, if any of those are troops, they get buried. So if you pull up 3 resources, they lose absolutely nothing. So again, 5 cost. Whew, yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of a cheapskate, so I want things as cheap as possible. So that's just me, though. Another one is the Minotaur Mercenary. This card I looked at, and this card is absolutely horrible. I would never want to play this card. It's a 2 cost 1 threshold troop, 2/1, but when this troop enters play, choose one at random. It gets permanent +2/+2, which would be great, or the opposing champion gains control of it. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be feeding my opponent any cards. I mean, this here, it'd be tough to base a strategy off of, okay, am I going to have this card or not? You know, it has the chance, I'm going to say 50-50 chance of going over to your opponent, because it either goes to you or it goes to them. It's one or the other. So I don't know. I think that card's horrible. I'm not sure how much use it's actually going to get there. And the last one that they dealt out was Shell Safe. And this is a diamond. 4 cost 2 threshold. When this troop enters play, create a turtle pet and put it into play. I haven't played with this card yet, so I'm not exactly sure what the turtle pet is, what its damage and defense are. I'm going to probably guess it's no higher than this. It's probably either a 1/1 or a 0/1 or a 2/1 or something like that. My best guess would be either 1/1 or an 0/1. But yeah, you know, that's decent there. 4 cost, 2 threshold to get to put 2 cards out into play. That's even right there. I think I like that card there a lot. Let's see. So those are the new cards that have been added. Some of the changes that they did to some cards. Boldheart now correctly prevents damage on his Mastery King Gabriel. Savage Raider and the Veteran Gladiator. They now currently say they must attack each turn if able. Headless Executioner now correctly says it cannot block. Another huge change that CZE made in this patch, and it was kind of almost hidden in the patch notes because it wasn't like pointed out or anything like that. It was just kind of just laying in there in the patch notes, is triggered abilities. A few weeks ago, probably a month and a half ago, they pulled triggered abilities off the chain, and people were up in arms about this. Like, how the hell is this going to work? The game is supposed to have triggered abilities on the chain. You know, you're changing the way the game plays, this, that, and the other thing. Well, what CZE has done is they've brought back part of that. They took triggered abilities that target now go on the chain. So things like Wild Root Dancer, Bombsmith, things that target other things will go on the chain. Things that won't target something like escalation cards, you know, those won't go on the chain still. You know, so they brought back some of it, which is great. That's I have never actually got to play the game with triggered abilities on the chain, so I'm kind of excited to play that. Also, Blessing the Fallen and Legionnaire of Gawan now properly work with Sword Trainer and Proctorate Clergyman. The Mushwaki now works again. Feed appropriately. Wild Growth now permanently decreases its cost. Now properly decreases its cost permanently. Royal Falcon and Royal Falconeer no longer geometrically increase their stats when recast. Let's see, and then this one here, I was kind of hoping they wouldn't do this to it, but the champion, Nin the Shadow, he used to say, his text used to say, let's go find it here. His card text used to say, target champion buries the top 3 cards of their deck, but he actually only buried 2. So we're like, okay, the mechanic's broken, so they got to fix that. Well, instead of fixing the mechanic, they just fixed the card text and changed 3 to 2. So I guess it's one way to fix it. A lot of us were hoping it would be the other way around, but unfortunately it's not. Oh well, not a big deal. So let's see, a couple other new known issues that have come up is there is currently no reconnection. What that means there is if you're in a tournament and you get disconnected, you have to close the game, open it back up. You'll be out of your tournament. There's no way of getting back in your tournament, so you pretty much forfeit. You have to fire up a new tournament, get back into it. Victory and defeat screens are also missing from tournaments. In tournaments, also the forfeit button is kind of misaligned with its little hitbox, the little area where you can actually click on it, and it's kind of off to the left in the center. It's very hard to find. So some people are having some issues with that. Especially on people who play high-res stuff, it gets really, really small. Kind of similar to the Shards of Fate card. You kind of got to get in the little lower left-hand corner. There's just a little tiny 2x2 pixel box you can click on. But let's see here. Another thing that happened when they rolled out this patch is a lot of cards had a validation bug. Cards from Shards of Fate, Hex Engine, Eternal Guardian, Ozawa. I think there was like 20 cards total that for some reason, when you left the deck manager and go into a tournament, these cards would disappear from your deck, and then your deck became invalid, and you can no longer enter the tournament. So the patch rolled out yesterday at 12 Eastern time, I believe it was, or Pacific, I'm not sure. Anyway, and about 7 hours later, they had that corrected. So it wasn't a huge deal, So at least they got it corrected the same day and didn't wait for it. And also, if you've been staring at the screen, you might have noticed one thing. Well, one, the globe has moved. This little world guy, he's moved over here. He used to be over here. But another thing is like the chat box. Where did it go? Where's the chat box? It's not up in my face all the time. You're correct. The chat box now has this little bubble emote. It is awesome. You can drag him around. It'll blink whenever time there's activity. You can click on him. He can open up. And then you can click on this and minimize him again. It's great. Just get him out of the way. The only problem I see with this little bubble emote thing here is the chat box grows up from it instead of like down and out, or doesn't take into consideration screen region. So like if I put him all the way up here and I open him up, it gets hidden up there and sometimes can be difficult to get back down. So that's one thing they're going to need to change there is kind of take, screen region and where it's at, screen bounds and fix that as well. So like I said, that hot fix that they rolled out also fixed those cards. It also fixed 3 other things too. One of those being Life Siphon no longer grants health when Blinding of Light is played. Ozawa Cosmic Elder no longer doubles attack and defense when played a second time, which is a good thing because Ozawa is a powerful card when you play him in a health deck, and what you can do if you have 2 of them in your hand. Now, granted, he's a unique; you can only have one in the field at a time. But let's say you go ahead and you attack with him, you exhaust him, and then you still have 7 resources to play around with. What you do is you go ahead and cast him again. He untaps himself. He still remains the way he is, and then now he's available to block your very following turn. So you kind of get a 2-for-1 deal there. So if you have like 4 of them in your deck, you can just you can keep untapping him like that, and it's a very powerful move. Did it a couple times yesterday against a guy, and he was like, "What? You can't do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can. You can only have 1 on the field at a time. You can untap him like that." So it does burn one of those cards, So, but I think it's a cool way to untap him. Also, let's see here. Like I said, I entered in some tournaments before the patch actually came out. I was on the forums and I entered in a tournament outside of the actual game, that wasn't part of it, and that was my first one ever. And I thought, okay, this should be kind of cool, and I didn't do too bad. I played against Soldak, and he won the first one. I won the second one, and then the third game, he says he got some pretty lucky draws, and it was a close game, but he ended up taking me, 2-1 there. So I did go out the first round in that first tournament there, but I wasn't upset or anything like that. It happens, I was playing my Blood Sapphire Mill deck, if I remember correctly, and that deck there I need to change it up because it's just not working for me anymore. I've had a little bit more success with my health gain decks that uses Ozawa, especially after I added I changed it from being a Sapphire Diamond deck to get Spell Shield on Ozawa. I changed it to a Wild deck, Wild Diamond, specifically to get Wild Aurora. So when Ozawa has 3,000 damage, and you put Crush on him, there's nothing that's going to stop him. You're going to win. So I needed some way to be able to get past things blocking me all the time. So that was one of the ways I did that. It works. It just takes a long time. So other than that was the patch this week. Like I said, exciting stuff. I can't wait to see what we have in store for next week, the following weeks, and the weeks to come. This game just gets better and better and better every time they lay out a patch here. Even if the patches aren't that exciting, we still get new cards every week, and it's awesome. So, other than that, if you like the video, go ahead and click subscribe below, like it so other people can find it, and I'll have another video for you soon. Oh, and I almost forgot earlier this week I was going to do a midweek update for this particular reason, but I didn't. What it is Corey Jones was featured on GameSpot demoing HEX on there, and it was about about an hour long. I'll go ahead and put the link in the description below so you can go ahead and view that video. He played a couple games with one of the QA people back at CZE, talked a little bit about the game, things to come, and maybe answered some questions for you. It's a really cool 1 hour, video there, so I would highly recommend that you actually watch it there. The first game he played wasn't too exciting, but the second game that he played was really exciting. It came down to the wire. I was really surprised that he won, and the way he did it, it was really cool. So it might give you some ideas for a deck as well. So like I said, I'll go ahead and put the description the link for that video in the description below.